Welcome back. My name is AB Ridgeway, and this is another episode of the Ridgeway Report. Today, we are going to explore the important question, is money the secret to happiness? Now, I know everybody wants to be happy in their day-to-day life, and they think money is the way to get to it because online, we see everybody on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, talking about this luxurious life that we wish we have, and they just look so happy. But today we're going to go over some top 3 things you need to consider before you think that working harder and making more money is going to make you more happy. Number 1, money is linked to happiness. Now, is it really? Now, there have been some reports and they're conflicting. Kahneman had a very great study that said that up to about $75,000, once your needs are met, that happiness pretty much plateaus. No one gets any more happier than they were prior to meeting all their needs, which is food, water, shelter. Now, also, there's been some studies that says all the way up to $500,000 that people continue to feel more happiness in their life. And there's also been some studies that say that even up to that point, that people continue to grow as they make more money. So which one is true? I don't know. So I guess the question is yes, no, and maybe up to a certain point. But what do I think as a financial advisor who has worked with over 300 families as far as managing wealth and managing their expectations around that wealth? Well, for me, I believe in what they call the law of diminishing returns. For example, I love Oreo cookies. The first one is amazing. You bite into it, it feels really good. The second one, you try to chase that same feeling that you had. By the third or fourth one, it starts to die down. Then you catch yourself adding 2 cookies and 3 cookies and 4 cookies and dipping them in milk and dipping them in peanut butter, trying to get that same sensation you got from the very first one. That is the law of diminishing returns. The things that we love don't have the same effect they did when they first started. In an interview with Floyd Mayweather, he said, what was the best payday of his life? Was it the 100 million he got or the 50 million? No. He said it was that first $100,000 check that he received. That is when he felt that he made it. And he's been chasing that ever since. This is a reality in our mind that we really need to fix, that more money is not necessarily going to make us more happy up to a certain point. Now, what that point is, that's going to be personal. Before we even make any claims about happiness and what we need to achieve that happiness, we need to understand what is happiness or what our definition of happiness is. Is our definition of happiness created through the culture? This broad way of saying the majority or what we think is the majority. Unfortunately, with the internet and social media, we lack diversification of thought. We can get onto our phones and we can find people who think just like us, and we don't have to see anybody else. We don't have to see any conflicting views. We get to see the same thing on your For You page over and over and over again, and you think that is how the world operates. Unfortunately, this is untrue. This is artificial. This is not reality. I guess artificial reality for that matter. This culture idea is basically, what does a majority of people in your area, in your city, in your state, in your country, what do they believe, and how does that impact what you believe to be true happiness? Now, here in America, we are one of the richest countries in the world. Therefore, we overlook the fact that we can go eat 24 hours a day. We overlook the fact that we have paved roads from California all the way to New York. We overlook the fact that we have clean water that runs through our faucet, and we'll rather bottled water because we don't want that tap water. These things we take for granted because the culture is saying that these things don't bring us happiness. Unfortunately, in third world countries, clean water, access to prenatal vitamins, access to medicine. We have kids in America that don't want to take medicines because they don't like the flavor, when there's other children who would beg for the medicine no matter how bad it tastes. Is your happiness cultural, meaning something that the world has imposed on you, or is it something personal, something that you develop from the inside, and no matter what the culture says, you are going to be happy? And in my experience, that is the best type of happiness that you can have. Because if you don't have a goal, you'll latch on to any goal that anybody puts up in front of you. If you don't have a goal of reaching $500,000, somebody who has a goal of $1 million, you may attach to that goal. That's why personal financial plans are the best thing that you can do for your financial health and your mental health, because it drills down what you want out of this life and not what everybody else wants or perceives they want. And I bring this up because I heard a story about the Beatles, how when they are by themselves, they were very unique. They were very introspective. They talked about things that were beyond music, and you really saw their personalities. But even when they joined with just one other band member, they became quiet. They started to think like the other person. They started to relinquish some of those unique thoughts because they thought as the group. Now, this happens to us as well. When we're by ourselves, we have very unique opinions. We are very vocal. We are very animated about the things that we know and love. But when we get into a group, we start to groupthink. We say, I don't want to be kicked out of the tribe, so I'm not going to ruffle any feathers. You may say one thing around one family member, but you won't say that around another. We need to develop our own sense of happiness and see what is going to give us fulfillment by setting goals. And when we achieve these goals, or even in the process of achieving these goals, we find happiness. Now, number 3 is life evaluation. What happens is that we need to set a criteria on what we see as happiness, as I mentioned earlier before. But the intervals by which we do this reflection needs to be more often. Too often, we find ourselves on life reflections when we're on our deathbeds, when we're 60, when we're 70, when we're 80, but now we're stuck between, did I live a good life or didn't I? And you have to live with the answer no matter what, because you don't have the energy to change it now. So what I've done in my own life is I've constantly done lifetime evaluations while I'm young, while you still have the energy before you're retired, or maybe even when you're recently retired. Evaluate, what have I done in my life and what am I willing to change? The great part about it is that people overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 5. If you're 60 years old, it's not too late to learn a new instrument. It's not too late to learn how to sing. It's not too late to go hiking. It's not too late to change your health around. You can do this, even if it takes you 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. It's not even too late to start a business. You're 60 years old, you work for 5, another 10 years, you can have a flourishing business that you can pass on to your children after you retire from your first career. Don't think life is that short or that you cannot fulfill the things that you wish that you could have done in your life. It takes constant reevaluation, introducing new tools, and reevaluating your goals and working toward those goals. And that is how you're going to find internal happiness. Think about this. Happiness is not a destination. It is something that is within you. If you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy in the future. If you're a sad person now, if I give you $1 million, you're just going to be a sad millionaire. So my bonus tip is money only solves money problems. For example, if your plumbing goes out, you could pay somebody today and you can have it fixed by the afternoon. Money solves that problem. If you don't have money, you may have to wait a week. You may have to wait 2 weeks until you get paid. But that's a money problem. But if you're frustrated in a relationship that you may have, frustrated in your job, more money is not going to solve it. And we've seen this time and time again. People quit their job, they get more money, and then the problems follow you. Why? Because no matter where you go, there you are. So we have to do the work. Money does not take care of the internal work that we need to do to reach our definition of what happiness is. Now, if we're always chasing this moving goalpost of what other people, what the culture and society sees as happiness, then we're always going to be on this treadmill that never gets us anywhere. We have to stop. We have to develop our own definition and be strong in who we are and what we are. I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, everything has beauty in it, but some of us just can't see it. So for me, it's about discovering the beauty in things, the beauty in ourselves, the beauty in our mindset, so we can continue to grow and be happy. Money, does it bring happiness? No, but it does facilitate it from the inside out. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. My name is A.B. Ridgeway. If you need help with a financial plan for something more personal for you to find your happiness, you can always click the link in the description below. I'd love to have a consultation with you, develop your financial plan, find your happiness, set your goals, and let's start being happy today. Well, that's it for me. This has been another episode of the Ridgeway Report.